Optimism is waning and many fear a market correction coming. From Venezuela to Wall Street, what should investors do? And then, do reverse mortgages deserve a second look? That and so much more on this week's episode of Elevate Your Wealth.
And now, Elevate Your Wealth with Mark Stimpson and Casey Elkins.
Welcome into Elevate Your Wealth. Your hosts, Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkins, and Steve O'Flynn. You can find them right here in Seattle at Elevated Financial Management. Again, they've got 90 plus years of experience, and it's all about helping their clients get ready for retirement. They're certified financial fiduciaries. I'm Morgan Patrick. Absolute pleasure to jump on and talk about. We're going to get into some custom stuff, like articles that have caught the attention of our advisors, and we're going to talk about that. I want to remind you, during the course of the show today, we are going to open up complimentary appointments, and they're no obligation appointments, so stay tuned for that. And the website is a resource, efmnw.com. It's all letters, efmnw.com. There are links to the TV show, our radio shows are in podcast form there. Just really good information on planning for your retirement, background information on the team. All right, guys, before we dive in, let's just get some backdrop. I feel like it's been a while. Casey, how you doing, and how was your week?
Oh, doing good. Yeah, doing really good. Things are really happening around the office. We're off to a great start in 2026. We're excited about what the year holds. And I think the big thing, since we kind of got weathered out last week, is the Seahawks going to the Super Bowl. So
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that means your team doesn't get to go, Morgan. So I'd say that we're sorry, but I don't know if that's officially true.
Yeah,
But,
my team has not gone for 30 years, so it's okay. It's okay. Mark, how was your week?
Yeah, I'm so excited about the Seahawks, like Casey said. But we did have Nicole. She was gone and went down and was with some of the other big offices in the country. She went to Phoenix to help find ways that we can service our clients better. And again, I just want to take 1 second to really thank the listeners today. We care tremendously about all the love that you show us. You call in, you've gotten our book, you've gone to our tax website, and it matters to us. And we are trying to get everyone in our office involved in any way they can to bring about a better service experience for those that ever want to come and check out Elevated Financial Management. So we're pretty excited about it. Shot a commercial last week as well. So we're really trying to help educate those that listen or watch our TV show.
I love it, man. Teamwork to make the retirement dream work. All right, Steve-O, how was your week?
Yeah, another good week here in the office. Really exciting. The commercial was fun. Great having meeting some of the listeners. They come in, they want to have an education with us, put a plan together. So it's really nice to meet those. And of course, Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes.
Game on.
Go Hawks.
There are 12-man flags all over the city of Seattle right now.
you can tell by Steve's accent now he's talking about the Seahawks. He likes two types of football now.
So, there's football and there's football.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's exciting though. It's great to be here. There's such a buzz going on here in Seattle. It's amazing.
It's fun. Yeah.
See?
Hawks.
I love it. Well, guys, you threw some articles at us today and want to get into this. And again, just get your thoughts. Optimism waning. Many fear a market correction. And this is the latest study. You guys were able to find this today, and we're going to talk about it. But this is a concern. I mean, we often talk about market volatility and people are nervous, but this article kind of throws it right in our face.
It does, yeah. It's really pronounced, and this article does a nice job of, in a short fashion, just kind of highlighting the concerns, and maybe even more than that is the percentage of people that have a concern, and I think that's really interesting. This points out that 66% of those surveyed have been unable to contribute to their savings as much in the last 6 months, undoubtedly because of inflation and economic concern, things like that. And 51% have stopped or cut back on their retirement savings in the last 6 months. So that's big. And it says that boomers are 36%. And I think the thing here is this: we're not saying that that's the right thing. We're definitely not saying it's the wrong thing either. If that's what you have to do to make it day to day, then I guess that's what you have to do. But I think the thing here, the big takeaway for us is that it is that uncertainty, right? It is the concern of what's coming, or potentially what's coming. We're not saying that it is. We're not saying that it isn't. Eventually, there will be some kind of correction in the market. Is it in 2026? I don't know. I hope it's not, but it very well could be. And it could be in 27. We don't know. But the idea there is just simply that we get it. And that's really why this stuck out, because every time we sit in a meeting with clients, folks that come in from the radio show or the TV show or come to a retirement class, we get questions about it constantly. Am I going to be okay in retirement? Do I have enough money saved? Is this going to last for the rest of my life, or how do I make it last for the rest of my life? And that's really what all of this comes back to, right? All of those questions are founded on the uncertainty of what the future holds. And that's why this stuck out to us.
Yeah, in fact, to let the listeners know, this came from the Allianz Center for the Future of Retirement. So Allianz is one of the biggest financial services companies in the world, not just the U.S., but in the world. And I loved one of the things that they really pointed out why there's getting to be some great concern about a market correction. One of the factors contributing to current attitudes is a concern about the cost of health care. I think both Casey and I understand this. We have wives that struggle with their health a little bit. And so our health system is not the best in the world. Let's just put it that way. But I love what it said. It said the study found that basically 60% of Americans are prioritizing saving for healthcare expenses over other financial goals because of expected premium hikes. We know we had some things that just went into effect February 1st. Based on new law, a bunch of Americans are losing benefits. So this is a major concern that is causing people to have to rethink what are they going to do if they're not on Medicare yet, or if they are, what should they do in that regard? We have a back office that will help our clients figure out, do they want to go on Med Advantage or a Med Supplement plan? So there's a lot to this, but there is a lot of people that are listening that are probably really concerned about the healthcare situation and how much of their budget is now going to have to be factored in to taking care of this, because this is a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah, we see that pressure, right? I mean, we do. We see it in our lives, just day to day. As Mark mentioned, medical expenses for everybody has gone up. It is expensive, and Medicare continues to go up, and it's going to continue to do so, right? And so, it's something where I think not only do we see it as planners, but we just see it as people that live in the area, right? I mean, in that way, we're peers for all of our clients. We feel the same things, and we know the toll that takes. And I think that's really why we wanted to talk about this today, is because we see all these different pressures that come up, and we get the concern. And it isn't that we don't have concern about the future either, but that's why it always comes back to having a plan, right? Because that's what's going to give you the framework to be successful, and start to figure out how to make choices when those uncertainties do happen.
Yeah.
We tend to circle the wagons when things get really weird. And right now things are that. And I think people look, their vision becomes very focused on what's happening in the next day or so, as opposed to months to years.
Yeah.
And it's a really important time to work with professionals and really have the scope to look at the bigger picture. I mean, today and tomorrow, it's crucial. It's crazy. We have to get through those days financially. But when we start looking at the bigger picture, that's what planning is.
Right. Yep. That's exactly it is. And it's, I think you make a solid point, Morgan, right? It's the forest through the trees. And we have to be careful about letting the here and now mess up the future. Right. And I think that's really important, because ultimately, like, let's say you stop saving for retirement, or you cut back on your savings. You don't really feel that in your savings account today. You feel that in your savings account 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So if you're not saving properly for retirement, it's something where you end up paying the price for that later on. Now, if you can't save, then that's its own thing, right? But we have to be careful about being this fear of the unknown, that boogeyman in the closet that stops us from doing what we need to do, from following that plan. And I think that this is really interesting. It says that 56% of Americans expect a market correction in 2026. And then it says 57% of Americans fear that a major recession will hit this year. And our big takeaway from all of this, and I think I speak for Mark and Steve and all of Elevated when we say this, is that we don't want that fear to stop you from creating a plan and executing the plan so that you can still have a successful retirement.
Yeah, to go along with that, I love this point. It says one key element for a long-term strategy is to be prepared for the risk of a market turn down, right? But he says you can't avoid swings in the market, but you can incorporate risk management strategies, aka such as annuities, to help reduce that exposure, which again goes into a plan. So please, if you're listening, you're thinking about this, you're worried about where the economy is headed, you don't know what to do, we look at world conditions, please give us a call. Let our team here at Elevated Financial Management put together a plan that's going to allow you to have some confidence when it comes to tax planning, risk mitigation strategies. What do I do as far as long-term care goes? This and so much more. Please just pick up the phone, give us a call, let us help.
All right, here's our number, 866-668-3625. That's 866-668-3625. If you've saved $250,000 or more towards your retirement, these strategies are going to work best for you. But this is an opportunity to really kind of have a conversation about you. This is customized. This is not cookie cutter. It's an opportunity to see where you are, talk about where you want to go, and create that plan to get you there. 866-668-3625. No cost, no obligation appointment available right now. 866-668-3625. All right, we go from optimism waning to Venezuela, Wall Street, investors, and what they should consider. That's coming up next. You're listening to Elevate Your Wealth. Welcome back into Elevate Your Wealth, hosted by Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkins, and Steve O'Flynn. You can find them right here in Seattle at Elevated Financial Management. Again, the website, and you can treat it as a resource, efmnw.com, all letters, efmnw.com. There are links to the TV show, radio show, and podcast form. Information on planning and an opportunity to get background information on Mark, Casey, Steve, and their entire team. Certified financial fiduciaries, and they've got 90-plus years of experience helping Seattle get ready for retirement. I'm Morgan Patrick. We get into the articles on this show, the latest from the world of finance from around the world and how it's going to impact you or possibly impact you on your way to and through retirement. So, guys, the next one, Venezuela to Wall Street, what investors should consider. We got a lot of geopolitics going on, and it is going to impact everything.
Yeah, and this article happened to be basically written and about Jeremy Siegel. And if anybody knows anything about finance, Jeremy Siegel is professor at Wharton. He's also one of the senior economists for Wisdom Tree. And his big concern right now, people, of course, have been talking about Venezuela now for several weeks after that government was upended and what was going to happen with their oil reserves. But he's way more worried about what's going to happen in Iran. We know that, there's Armada, heading that way right now. And so, again, what Siegel's really concerned about is that he thinks there's just too much focus on oil, nothing else. And so what he's saying in a way is, again, oil is part of the issue, right? But there's so much more to what's going on in the world. Inflation is a big one. And again, for us, what's going to happen to people when it comes to taxes? I just like what we talk about on every show is the need for a plan, right? Yep. We want to be able to have our clients feel secure, even if there is nonsense that happens in the oil market or in the stock market, whatever it is. We don't want their life to be turned upside down and wondering, oh no, what is going to happen to my income because of the uncertainty that this world's economic factors are shoving to everybody right now. I think this is an important thought. for everybody.
And also we talk about oil, but also the buzzword that we hear daily, almost every hour, is AI. It's AI is prominent with us. And when we definitely review client portfolios, there's a term, the Magnificent Seven. If you don't know what the Magnificent Seven are, they're the top 7 stocks. So familiar names, a lot of them based here in Seattle: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, NVIDIA, and Tesla. And why do I say that? Is because when we deep dive into clients' portfolios and run the reports behind the funds that they may have, target date funds or S&P 500, we almost always see those names in the top 5.
Yeah.
That, like NVIDIA typically is the number 1 holding for people that are preparing for retirement. So it's an interesting thing to point out to a client.
Right.
And is that suitable? Is that what we really want? Thank you for the growth, but moving forward.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up the AI and the Magnificent Seven because, we saw earlier this week the volatility associated in the gaming world because of some AI announcemements. And so you have some gaming stocks that showed a lot of volatility, and simply because there's uncertainty associated with AI, right? And you would think that AI, in terms of creating like video games and things of that nature, would actually be a positive thing for a lot of those stocks, but it also starts to introduce more competition for some of the bigger names, right? And so it's really interesting. It's something where I think it's the uncertainty behind all of it that I don't think it is the uncertainty behind all of this that creates the volatility that we see. And I was actually talking with a couple of folks about this earlier today, in that, like I said, you would think that AI would drive down the cost of creating these video games, and that would be a good thing, and these companies would profit and have higher margins because of that. But it creates uncertainty for their business model, and it starts to bring in other competition. And it's that uncertainty, the same with oil, like we're talking about, the same with anything else that we talk about on the show. It's that uncertainty that drives volatility in the market. And because of that, that is what starts to create further uncertainty in the retirees' minds, right? In the actual investor mind, because now we see what's happening in the world and we wonder, how is this going to affect my retirement and my savings, and what does it do to the market? And the economists and all the big traders and all those guys, they all have similar thoughts. It's the uncertainty behind it. And so how do you solve uncertainty in your life? I don't know, Steve, for you, Mark, for you. I know what I do. I do everything I can to come up with a plan to figure out how I can best deal within certain parameters and come out with a roadmap of what I'm going to do. And then as things come up, you address those items. But that's what helps to solve the concern that people feel day to day.
It's funny you mention that, case, because a lot of uncertainty can also cause people to not do anything, almost like deer in the headlights, right? The car's coming, going to smash into it, but he ain't moving, right? And that's really a concern that I think a lot of people have. They don't know. In fact, this article talked about there's so much confusion. What's the Supreme Court going to do in regards to all the tariffs that have been placed on different countries for products? There's a lot of uncertainty there. We know the last 2 weeks, there's been nothing about, the next Fed chair. And we know how the Fed really controls the monetary markets as we know them. And so that's causing a massive amount of anxiety and stress for people. And the markets are going to be uneasy about that as well, because we need to understand what's happening there, because we want to take action. We don't want to be frozen in time because we're so worried. We don't know what to do, so we do nothing. That's because you are taking action. You're just not taking any, right? Instead of maybe a plan that could really help.
Right.
We are in the middle of discussing, what investors, and this includes you, should be considering in what is a volatile time. And again, market volatility is everywhere. It's going to impact everybody. So these are things that you might want to consider. We're having that discussion, but we also want to give you an opportunity to grab one of the books from Mark and Casey, Break the Glass. And Casey, real quickly, just give us background on the book, and there's a great way to grab it, absolutely complimentary.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Morgan, because it really ties in with exactly what we were just talking about. Mark mentioned sometimes when there's a lot of decisions and there's concern, hysteria, whatever terms we want to use, people can react in a way where they freeze. They don't know what to do. There's different names for it: deer in the headlights, analysis paralysis, different things like that. And the name of the book is called Break the Glass. And the reason it's called Break the Glass is because in a fire, we're faced with a lot of decisions to make. There's a lot of choices. What do I do first? How do I make sure I don't miss anything? How do I make the best decision? And so ultimately, you have to take action. If you freeze in that circumstance, if you just stop, that really is a much bigger issue, right? And so the idea behind Break the Glass is take the action, break the glass, grab the fire extinguisher, and get a plan in place. And that's the purpose. That's the name behind the book. And the book itself is written in a way that it's easily digestible. It's meant for retirees. It's meant for folks that we talk to regularly that are just unsure. They're just unsure about what to do, how to do it, the best way to do it, what sequence to do it in, all of those kinds of things. And that's the purpose when Mark and I wrote it, was simply to educate and give people the tools to make the decision and move forward, because that's really what's going to put that plan into place. So this is your chance. We'd love to share it with you. We will send a copy to you. It'll come in a golden envelope, just like a Willy Wonka golden ticket. So that's your golden ticket to retirement. It'll stand out when you get your mail. And go to breaktheglassbook.com. You can enter your information there. We will happily send a copy to you. Again, breaktheglassbook.com. Please don't hesitate. We'd love to share that resource with you.
Well, you're locked in to Elevate Your Wealth. Again, hosted by Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkins, and Steve O'Flynn. I'm Morgan Patrick. We're talking about, again, what's affecting investors, and right now Venezuela, Wall Street, and as Mark mentioned, Iran. Steve brought up AI. There are a lot of question marks that are out there, and one of the big ones about AI, the data centers and how much it will take for these data centers. And there was, a local one near us, and I just walked in on one of these board meetings just to give you a little, behind the curtains, 1 million gallons of water a day to cool a data center. Yeah. They have to have backup diesel generators in case power goes down. And so you have a massive amount of diesel fuel on property. It also creates this hum that has an impact on the human brain. And if you are within a mile of a data center, it's going to impact you. And these are all things that I'm learning. So as AI gets bigger, where are you going to put the data centers? We've heard Elon Musk wants to put them in space. We've heard portable nuclear generators that will be able to create this kind of power for us. So all of this is going to impact, our money. It's going to impact everything we do when it comes to planning. So just, be in touch. And one of the great things about this show is whatever the hot article is, you guys are talking about it. Now, the opportunity to get on the calendar with Elevated Financial Management is right now. So Casey, quickly, walk us through the appointment.
This is, if you want a little bit more than the book, right? If you want a little bit more than just a resource to read and understand some details, if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody who's trying to help build a custom tailored plan just for you, that's what this is for. So we'll talk about taxes. We'll talk about the risk you're taking, what the future holds, how to create the income that you need, Medicare, Social Security, all those concerns that are twirling in your mind. We'll talk about each one of those just for you. So don't hesitate. Pick up the phone. Give us a call. We'll be happy to talk with you.
All right, here's the phone number, 866-668-3625. That's 866-668-3625. Have a plan for retirement. 866-668-3625. We've got more coming up on the other side. Elevate Your Wealth, powered by Elevated Financial Management right here in Seattle. Your hosts, Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkins, Steve O'Flynn. I'm Morgan Patrick. Absolute pleasure to jump on. They've got over 90 years of experience combined, helping hundreds of their clients get ready for retirement, certified financial fiduciaries. And again, it's about being proactive, getting ahead of this, having a plan. And a lot of you have done the heavy lifting. You've saved, you put the money away, you're in the middle of this thing, but you haven't started the planning aspect. And just showing up at retirement's door and picking a withdrawal rate is scary stuff. You don't know how much retirement gas you've got in your tank. Have a plan and know what you have as you move towards your retirement. So article number 3 today, guys. Do reverse mortgages deserve a second look? Obviously they do, because we're talking about it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, Morgan, because I think reverse mortgages and annuities in general probably cause more controversy, or you say the A word and everybody immediately wants to, poo-poo them. But what I will say to this is I love what it said. Have you ever seen those cheesy late night commercials for reverse mortgages? We all have. Tom Selleck pitched them forever. He was on TV, right? Have you heard about a senior allegedly burned by a reverse mortgage? We've had clients tell us some of these stories. And this attorney is saying this exact thing. Steve Parrish is an attorney. He's a CFP. He's a CH, Chartered Financial Consultant. He teaches this is a guy that has studied this stuff. And he admitted that in his own practice, he didn't even consider, he thought reverse mortgages was nonsense until he started to work with Dr. Wade Pfau. That changed everything. And we have actually a piece that we give clients that Dr. Pfau really talks about what a powerful tool it can be in the right situation, right? It's not for everybody. We understand that. But for those listeners that may have thought this is the dumbest idea, I would never even consider reverse mortgage, you might want to get educated about it because they can be a wonderful tool if used in the right scenario. Because we talk with clients about this all the time, and it has been a game changer for some of our clients. They would tell you it's the best thing, one of the best things that they did when it came to retirement planning.
Yeah, I think reverse mortgages, annuities, I think in my mind, there's two reasons that they get bad raps. One, lack of understanding, right? I think that's really
that's the main one.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where it's not as simple as, well, I bought Amazon stock and it grew 20%, so I made 20% and then I sold it, right? It's not that simple. There's more to it than that. And so because of that complexity, it starts to make people wonder, well, like, what don't I know about this? What am I missing? What do I not understand? What's going to bite me later? Things like that, right? So I think that's kind of the first piece. And that's, we say it on the show all the time, that's the boogeyman in the closet, right? So don't let the boogeyman in the closet stop you from being educated, from talking to a resource, from talking to a person that can be your source of truth and help you understand how it may or may not fit in your circumstance. And then the second thing I think is, and I'm going to air quote this, is salespeople. Salespeople that are trying to push a particular product and make it fit in every circumstance. And I think that gives them a bad name because that's where people get burned, right? I say it all the time. You don't buy a Prius to tow a boat and you don't buy a big truck to get good gas mileage. It's the same kind of thing. You can do it. You can tow a boat with your Prius, but it's not going to work real well. And so you're going to be disappointed. And it's the same idea. A reverse mortgage and an annuity have very specific applications. And sometimes they get a bad rap because they're used in the wrong application. And if you use a hammer to drive a screw, you're going to be disappointed. Yeah, you can do it, but it's not going to work like it's supposed to. And so it's the same kind of thing. Are you educated enough to make that decision? And are you set up with the right relationships in your life, the right type of advisors, the right folks that can help guide you in that conversation and lead you to, yes, I should, or no, I shouldn't? Because there are some folks that it's a great thing and we've seen it firsthand. And there's other folks where it's absolutely the wrong thing and it's not even worth a conversation.
Right.
So I think that's those are the two big reasons. And my kind of point in saying all of that is just have the conversation. Sure. Keep an open mind to it. It could be valuable. It might be worth talking about. And worst thing that can happen is you walk away with a little education and find out, no, this isn't the right thing for me. Yeah,
Steve is going to get into this a little more. But the one thing I want to really highlight is Elevate Financial Management. We don't do reverse mortgages, right? Mm-hmm. We don't. That's not something. We just are educated about them to understand them as a tool or a resource for our clients. So we're not pushing them. We don't do them in this office. We're not secure. We're not, mortgage brokers. So we can't do them. So we want our listeners just to understand them. And there's some cool features that I think Steve wants to bring up now that really might help to educate the listeners as to how you can possibly use a reverse mortgage and what it can do for your personal situation.
Exactly. And it's just that education point with so many people with so much equity in their houses. It could be a great way to supplement retirement income. So on that education piece, reverse mortgage proceeds are loan advances, so they're not taxable income. So this feature makes this financing tool uniquely useful for a number of retirement planning strategies, particularly for more affluent retirees. There's 4 points that it mentions. So consider these tax-efficient uses of reverse mortgage payments, bridging the income gap before claiming Social Security, managing adjusted gross income to avoid IRMA surcharges, reducing IRA withdrawals during high tax years, and lastly, supporting cash flow for taxes involved in Roth conversions. So there you go. I mean, it can be a really useful tool.
Yeah, but you covered those really quickly. I think if we slow down just a bit, like bridging the income gap, right? So maybe you're not going to be 67 for a couple of years. And so now what do we do? The point is, how do we get the income that Social Security would give us? What's another way to do it, right? Instead of maybe getting into our selling stocks or whatever it is, other choices we have, we want to slow down and think this could be a really good option to help bridge that gap. I think that's something we want to really think about.
Because you got to go somewhere to get the money,
Yeah,
right? If you're going to
exactly.
retire, either that or you keep working, right? I mean, those are kind of your two choices. So, and it doesn't mean that you can't go to your retirement accounts and take the money from there. You could, but maybe there's this other bucket in a reverse mortgage that you haven't thought about, and maybe that helps you bridge the gap a little bit or all of it, right? It's just, again, right? It's worth the conversation.
Well, I was going to say, you guys, all three have said it. It's about education. It's not about seeing an ad on TV and going, I'm going to do it. I mean, that's not how it works. It might be a good fit. It might not be a good fit. Working with professionals, working with people that deal with retirement and retirement planning on a daily basis, bring that question up. And if you don't bring it up, they might bring it up. I mean, the reverse mortgage might be a tool for your retirement toolbox, but it might not be.
That's it, right? It may not be too, right? And there are plenty of circumstances where it doesn't make sense. For example, if you were thinking of doing a reverse mortgage and then moving in the short term, that's really not a good option for you, right? It doesn't make sense there. And that's something worth considering, right? Are you in a home where you plan on staying in that home, at least for the foreseeable future, if not potentially for the rest of your life? Because that's really where it can have the most impact. But on the other side of that coin is we've also seen reverse mortgages allow people to retire when they thought they couldn't. We've seen people live more life in retirement and take trips that they didn't think they could take while they were retired, and just giving them more freedom. So, I think that's it. It's hard for us to sit here, and I think it's the same as anything else. If, I know we have a lot of clients that listen to the show, and they can attest to this. We don't sit here and make definitive statements like this is the best thing that anybody could do, because it isn't. There's no such thing. There's no silver bullet to retirement, and that goes the same for reverse mortgages and for annuities. They fit in some applications, and they do very specific things very, very well. But they do other things very poorly. So it all depends on what your goals are. And that's what it comes down to is, you mentioned, Morgan, the tool belt, right? You don't have one tool in the tool belt. You have all the tools in the tool belt. And you as the retiree have got to figure out what makes sense for you. But it comes down to having that resource that can help educate and custom tailor the conversation to what you're trying to accomplish.
Steve mentioned IRMA for a second. A lot of people don't realize this is an extra tax or a surtax when it comes to our Medicare Part B premium, and it's based on income, right?
Yep.
But how cool would it be if you could use tax-free money, which is what is generated on a reverse mortgage, that would keep you from being put in the IRMA category, where now you're paying an additional monthly premium, which could be significant because of your income. So now if you're able to take a tax-free chunk of money to use, it keeps you out of that bracket. It can be a win-win all the way around. So this is where tax planning, everything that we've been talking about in regards to reverse mortgages, please don't have turn a blind eye to this because you're scared or you don't think they can work. They could be one of the best tools in the right situation that you ever looked at. So just be open-minded when it comes to this.
Yeah. When it comes to planning and when it comes to your retirement, there can be a lot of noise out there.
Yeah.
And you need to filter it, right? You need to work with professionals. You need to work with fiduciaries. You need to map your situation out. Not your uncle's, not somebody at work. This is your situation. So you need to have that conversation. It needs to be customized to you. We're talking about your plan. Now, the opportunity to get on the calendar with Elevated Financial Management right here in Seattle is right now. These are complimentary. These are no obligation. So with that being said, Mark, walk us through the appointment.
if you're listening and you just got questions maybe about how can I use a reverse mortgage, or we've been talking about taxes. Are you concerned about where your tax brackets may be falling right now? Is there a way? Should I be thinking about Roth conversions? What about capital gains? Should I sell some of my stocks? What about medical situation? What do I do with Medicare? Or do I need to talk long-term care? Maybe you're helping a parent or a grandparent deal with this unbelievable situation that could happen. This and so much more creates doubt. It creates questions. Please pick up the phone, give us a call. Let Elevated Financial Management help you put together a plan where you can take a lot of the anxiety and the angst that you may be having because you don't know what to do. Please pick up the phone and just give us a call.
All right, grab one of our appointments right now, 866-668-3625. That's 866-668-3625. If you've saved $250,000 or more towards your retirement, these strategies are going to work best for you. Again, if you've got questions about your situation, if you're sitting on a portfolio, or you're frustrated with your current situation and you need a second opinion, grab one of these no-cost, no-obligation appointments right now with Elevated Financial Management, 866-668-3625. When we return on Elevate Your Wealth, it's time for scenarios. I've got a handful. Throw them at the fellas, see what they come up with next. Welcome back in. It's Elevate Your Wealth, powered by Elevated Financial Management, located right here in the city of Seattle. Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkins, Steve O'Flynn on the show this week. They've got over 90 years combined experience helping their clients get ready for their retirement. They're certified financial fiduciaries. I'm Morgan Patrick. Absolute pleasure to be on. We're going to give you an opportunity at a no-cost, no-obligation appointment with the firm. If you have not started planning or you need that second opinion on what you're currently doing, you can grab one of those. And we also have a book, Break the Glass. We'll tell you how you can pick up a free copy of that coming up. All right, so scenarios. Casey, you get the first one, and guys, chime in on this. And here's the scenario. They've got 4 streaming subscriptions, 2 gym memberships, a freezer full of meal kits, and a partridge in a pear tree, but no idea what's actually draining the budget. How do you help someone identify and cut the small, sneaky expenses in retirement?
You know, I think the big thing like on this is the lifestyle creep, right? I mean, we see this a lot where ultimately as you get pay raises and things like that, your lifestyles continue to go up. That your cost of living, not just because of inflation, but just how you live your life and the things that you do, the price of all those things continues to go up, and you do more and more. And eventually that catches up with you, right? And you start to realize like, man, I have all these things that I'm paying for that I don't use. For me, it's like I have like 7 streaming subscriptions, and I can't understand because I don't use all 7 of them. And so you go clear them out, but then finally there's a show on one of them, and so you sign up for it again, and then you keep paying for it for months, right? So, I mean, we all have those kinds of things that come up, but the key, and this is really what you're talking about here, Morgan, right, is just paying attention, right? That's the biggest thing that you can do when it comes to your spending. Is are you paying attention to what you spend your money on? We live in a world that is so disconnected from the pain that comes from spending money. It's almost a joke at this point, right? And if you think about that, you go back years and years, if you had to spend actual cash, that's the most painful way to spend the money. I have to take the money in my pocket and I have to give it to somebody else. That hurts way more than writing a check, right? And at one point, writing a check was the way things were done. Then came the credit card. And writing a check hurts more than using a credit card, right? I just swipe my little plastic. Now you don't even have to swipe it. You just tap. And even more than that, you can just use your watch and tap that, right? So there is no emotional connection when we spend those dollars. And it makes people overlook the actual spending. And you don't feel the pain associated with it. And so there's a couple things you can do. One, you can pay with cash, but that's really clunky and it's hard to do. And a lot of places don't accept it. The second is to actually take the time and review your expenses each and every month or each and every week. look at your statements, look at where you're spending the money, take out a notebook and write down each expense that you have, keep the receipt, categorize it, and pay attention to where the money is going. And I promise you, each and every single one of us, no matter how tight we are with our money, each and every single one of us can find somewhere that we splurge a little bit. But you know what? I think the other side of this is really important. We don't go to work and work hard and be dedicated professionals at our jobs just to pinch and save every single dollar and not live life at all, right? So there does have to be a balance. Now, are you spending on things that are kind of unintentional spends? That's very much probably the case. And especially as you're approaching retirement, we've seen folks where they start to go, well, I can cut my cable and I can cut this and I can cut that. And then the question becomes, well, what are you going to actually do in retirement, right? You have all this time. That's great. But if you don't have money to go spend and enjoy it, then that's really not the solution either, right? So there does have to be a balance. And we hate to see people pull in the purse strings so tight that they don't get to enjoy life. But at the same time, you can't spend so much that you can't enjoy life tomorrow, right? So that's the big key behind this. And I think it comes down to paying attention to your assets, having a plan, and discussing that plan with an advisor that can help keep you on the right path.
Yeah, have a guide, have a teammate, have somebody with you on this journey. So many of you have put the monies away. Now you need the plan. And just showing up with a portfolio, we congratulate you on putting the money away, doing the heavy lifting, but now you need that plan to get you to and through. All right, scenarios, always interesting because they happen all over the place. And you might find a scenario that we talk about that's similar to what you're going through. It's not exactly what you're going through. You need to have a customized plan. We're going to give you an opportunity to get on the calendar with Elevated Financial Management. No cost, no obligation. Stay tuned for that. Scenario number 2 to Mark. You'll start with this one, Mark. They delayed Social Security so they could maximize their benefits, in air quotes there. But now they're just watching daytime TV and they're waiting. What's the real impact of waiting versus claiming early, especially when someone isn't sure how long they'll be in good health?
Yeah, this is something that we really, one of the first things that we start with a client is I like to ask a question. If they had a blank canvas, how would they start to paint their retirement? What do they want it to look like? Because we don't just, like this mentions, we don't sail off into the sunset and they're waiting for benefits. So they're home, they're watching TV, and they're just waiting because they haven't turned Social Security on. And everybody that's listening to the show for any length of time knows we talk about, we have go-go years, slow-go years, and then no-go years, right? And we want our clients to have more money on the front end when they're able to do things, plan trips, plan vacations with their children, their grandchildren. We can't just wait around because those that wait, tomorrow may never come, right? If your health goes bad, then what? You're not going to do the things that you were hoping that you could do. So again, waiting for Social Security is great because we know if you go, let's say, from 67 to 70, full retirement age, to the extended benefit because you're 70, you're getting an extra 8% on your money each and every year for each year that you wait up until age 70. But what happens if your health goes bad at 69? Right? So again, everybody's situation is unique. Some may be able to wait, and it could be a great idea. We have a client we're doing that for right now because he has enough money in other buckets to be able to draw on that would replace the amount of money that Social Security would be giving him, along with the fact that he's starting to pay tax on qualified money that's sitting in his IRA, and he's going to pay tax now at the lowest rate he's going to see in his lifetime. So again, this is where planning truly does matter, and waiting on Social Security may or may not be a good idea. We need to know a lot more information about your specific situation to maybe give you any guidance on that.
You know, it's hard, right? Because exactly like you said, Mark, and we said it a couple times earlier in the show, it may or may not be the right thing for you. This or an annuity or reverse mortgage or this investment or that investment, whatever it is. And that's tough because I like definitive answers personally, right? And I think you do too, and I think you do, Steve, right? And Morgan, you do as well. But it is situational. All of these things are situational. And I just want to highlight, that's why we're always talking about a plan, because the plan is what custom tailors it to you, right? If it wasn't custom tailored, you could go into Google and type in, my name's Casey and I want to retire at 65 and here's how much money I have. And it'd go, okay, here you go, boom, 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 and it'd be done. But that's not what we're looking for, right? You're looking for something that gives you the license to live the life that you want to live. And that has to be custom tailored. And I think that's the key, is it isn't cookie cutter. It requires time. Steve, I think you sat down and did the math and said, really for us to put together a plan for somebody, it takes about 5 hours, right? It takes 5 hours of initial conversation. That doesn't include the planning time behind the scenes and the analysis and the actual work to do the transfers and all those kinds of things. It actually is just the time it takes in conversation with that client. And you know what? The point being there is that that's the level of service that you need to have a successful retirement, is to make sure that plan is custom tailored just for you and it meets your specific needs, because what you're looking for is different than your friends and it's different than your neighbors, and it should be something built just like a custom tailored suit. It should be built just for you to make sure that it fits your goals.
And we've got listeners out there that they're like, okay, great. Maybe I'm not ready to come in for an appointment, which we're going to make those available here in just a little bit. But I want more information. But I want that information from Elevated Financial Management. Well, I've got a way for you to get that. We have a book, Break the Glass. You can sign up for this book, and they will ship it out to you. And it's a great introduction to the firm and the way that they plan. BreakTheGlassBook.com is where you go, BreakTheGlassBook.com. Sign up for it. It's complimentary. They'll ship it out to you. And again, you get a good sample of what Elevated Financial Management is all about. All right, final scenario. Steve, we'll throw this one at you. They want to leave a legacy, but their idea of an estate plan is telling their kids which garage tools they want. What is a smart first step for someone who is behind, way behind on formal estate planning?
Yeah, we're just talking about garage tools here. Wow. Okay. Well, when we go into estate planning, we're looking at all your assets together, combined. And I think there's two fears that most people have when they come to us is taxes, but also probate and not having a plan, not having a will. And second to that, which is really easy in Washington State, is to have assets that are over $3 million with your house and your investable assets, because that'll make you eligible for Washington State estate tax. So there are definitely things that we need to have a conversation about. So we'd firstly look at your investment accounts. And second to that, we do work with estate planning attorneys. So we can look at your situation in detail and perhaps come up with a solution for that. So yeah.
Scenarios. They always bring out questions for our listeners, and now you can get some answers. We have complimentary appointments. Again, no charge and no obligation to become a client. Casey, walk us through it.
Yeah, this is your chance to get that custom tailored plan. That's really what this comes back to. If you've been listening to the show, if you've seen us on TV, if you've attended a retirement class, if you've read the book and you just haven't decided to take that step yet, just know this: exactly who you hear on the radio is exactly who we are in the office. The same with TV, the same with the workshop. We're just here to help design a plan custom tailored to you. Whatever that looks like, it'll come out in conversation. It's low key. There's no pressure. There's no obligation. We'll just sit down and have the conversation. And if we can help improve your situation, we'll let you know that. And if we can't, we'll let you know that too. Because really, ultimately, at the end of the day, this is exactly about what you're looking for and what you want your retirement to be. So we'd love to see you in the office. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Please pick up the phone and give us a call.
Listeners, it's your decision, right? It's your decision to pick up the phone. It's your decision if you want to become a client. But folks, this is complimentary. Grab one of these appointments. Take it for a test drive. 866-668-3625. That'll get you in touch with Elevated Financial Management right here in Seattle. And it's a cost-free complimentary appointment. And again, no obligation. 866-668-3625. Get your retirement on track. 866-668-3625. Another edition of Elevate Your Wealth is in the books. For Mark Stimpson, Casey Elkins, and Steve O'Flynn, I'm Morgan Patrick. See you on the radio next week.
Investment advisory services offered through Foundations Investment Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The content provided is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The views, statements, and opinions expressed herein are those of the individual speakers and not necessarily those of Foundations and its affiliates. The information contained herein does not constitute an offer to sell any securities or represent an express or implied opinion or endorsement of any specific opportunity, offering, or issuer. Any discussion of performance or returns is not indicative of future results. Each individual investor situation is different, and any ideas provided may not be appropriate for your particular circumstances. Foundations only transacts business in states where it is properly registered or excluded or exempted from registration requirements. Registration as an investment advisor is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. No legal or tax advice is provided. Always consult with a tax professional. All rights reserved.